Jai Hind everyone. There was a famous statement by the former Vice President of America, Hillary Clinton, that you cannot keep a snake in your backyard and expect them to bite only your neighbors, not you. This is by the statement by Hillary Clinton regarding the continuous support of terrorism by the Pakistan. Pakistan has always been the constant perpetrator of terrorism. So Jai Hind everyone. So today I Vikrant Pawar is here to discuss about the terrorism. Currently the world is suffering from many challenges and terrorism is one of them. Terrorism has been practiced throughout the world, or we can say terrorism has been practiced throughout the history. Basically, terrorism means any act or any criminal violence done by any particular individual or any particular group who is basically radicalized or who is perhaps inspired by the terror outfits to kill the innocent civilian or basically to bring the world attention to their imaginary demands or to achieve some political gains. Currently, the menace of terrorism has been spread all over the world. Historically, the term terrorism is used during the 1790s to refer the reign of terror that was used during the French Revolution. The Jacobean Party of Robespierre has carried out the mass execution by guillotine, which created a reign of terror. And at that time particularly, the term terrorism has highlighted. If we talk about terrorism, India is not the only country where India is not the only country who has suffered from the terrorism. The tentacles of terrorism has been spread all over the world. Even the superpowers like USA has not evaded themselves from the tentacles of terrorism. We have seen the 9/11 attack on the United States of America, when the World Trade Center of America was attacked by the Al-Qaeda terrorists. So we have seen that the superpowers is not itself evade from the tentacles of terrorism. So certainly the rise of terrorism is the growing concern for all the political government or all the countries all over the world. If I talk about particular terrorism with context with India, history of India with terrorism can be seen back to the partition, religion-based partition of India, when India was ripped into two nations, that is India and Pakistan, and which separated the subcontinent. And after the accession of Kashmir to India, this accession instigated the Pakistan to support the state-sponsored terrorists, as we have seen in the 1947-1948 Indo-Pak war, when the Pakistan has used the Pathans or Mujahideens to fight against the India along the Kashmir border. So from that time we have seen the rise of terrorism in India. India, I think so, has witnessed almost all type of terrorist attack, whether it be 26/11 attack, 2003 Parliament attack, 1993 Mumbai blast attack, and recently carried out the Pathankot, Uri and the Pulwama attack. So India has basically been hit by the Pakistan in the form of all terrorist attack. And we have seen, if we go back to the 1980s, at that time there was a rise of terrorism. In 1980s, when the Soviet Union has invaded the Afghanistan, at that time there was a Cold War era, and to contain the Soviet Union in Afghanistan, American has used and trained the Mujahideens in Afghanistan to contain the Russians in the Afghanistan. And after the withdrawal of the Soviet Union in 1989 from the Afghanistan, these Mujahideens turned against the US and formed many small groups like the Taliban, Al-Qaeda, Jaish-e-Mohammed and many other groups, and later these small groups turned against the US and carried out the various attacks like the 9/11 attack, as I told earlier. So over the years we have seen there was certainly rise of terrorism all over the world. And if we go back to the reason behind this, according to me, the one reason is the lack of political governance and lack of political stability in a country. As we have already seen in the Afghanistan and Pakistan. In Afghanistan, there was a lack of governance, which leads to the Taliban rule in the last year. And in Pakistan, since its independence, we have seen that there was always a political instability in the country of Pakistan, which provide a concrete base for the terror outfits to carry out their terrorist activities. And second is the lack of education and poverty in a country. Yes, in my opinion, this is one of the main reason, because when there is a lack of education in a country, the youths of that country are easily radicalized by the terror outfits. And when there is a poverty in a country, the youth and the people, the person of that country are easily encouraged by these terror outfits to earn some basic money, and in search of money these young people join these terrorist groups. And third is the misuse of the social media platforms, as we have seen during the recent year that these terror groups misuse the social media platforms to spread the hate speech and the false news, which encourage the youth to join these terror outfits. And if I talk about the what steps should we take to tackle the rise of terrorism, in my opinion, first, that all the countries all around the world should come together and share information regarding the terrorist activities. Second is that a strictly binding resolution should be passed by the United Nations against those countries who continuously provide the safe haven to the terrorist outfits, and these countries should be made liable for their activities. And third, if the global platforms like the Financial Action Task Force should maintain a close monitoring on those countries who are continuously financing the terror outfits. So this is all about the terrorism. And if at last I come to the conclusion, yes, terrorism has always been a growing concern for all over the world. And if we want to tackle the rise of terrorism, all the countries should have to come together, because it is not the only country will suffer if the terrorism will grow. If the terrorism will grow, eventually the whole world will going to be suffer. So it's all our responsibility to come together and stop the menace of terrorism. So that's all for today. Thank you, everyone.